Good morning, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of the first episode of With Conviction. This is the debut actual play for a new TTRPG by the name of Conviction, as the name might imply. My name is Rain, my pronouns are she, her, and I will be your GM for this campaign. I am here with my terrified heroes as we begin a story of hope, horror, and history. Why don't you introduce yourselves and we'll get started?
Hi there. I'm Alice. I play Desdemona Hartwood, and both of us use she and they pronouns. Desdemona is a sort of gothy, punky, like college-aged girl.
And I'm Skylin. My pronouns are they and them, and I'm playing Kris Whitlock, whose pronouns are she or any. Kris is a very sporty person and is currently just trying to figure out how to navigate this situation.
All right, let's jump in right where we left off. It's for something so big, it's shockingly hard to keep track of. It steps over the fence to the baseball diamond as if it's not even there and keeps going through the park. And whenever a cloud passes overhead, it's like this thing is not there. But sooner or later, the moon breaks out again, and you can see this thing significantly further away. It's going to be difficult to keep up with it. You see the direction it's going, but are you going to try and keep up with it?
There's two things I'd love to do, if at all possible. I'd love to take a moment to have Kris to stop and bat a ball at this thing, see if she can get its attention first, and then she'll sprint after it.
All right. Go ahead and roll place for me since you are trying to hit this thing with the ball.
Oh, God, my dice don't like me tonight. That is a 3 on the dice plus 2 is 5.
Unfortunately, it's too far away and you can't take that shot with any kind of stability. You do take that swing, but unfortunately, it's just at an off angle and the baseball goes down into the dirt. You're able to pick it up again as you're running, but that's cost you some time. The next time the clouds pass over and the moon comes back, you've lost track of it.
Can I sprint in the direction that I saw it moving last?
Absolutely. You are running as hard as you can, and being a practiced athlete, that is fairly good. Eventually, you come to a strip mall.
Can I pause?
Mm-hmm.
I did mean to ask to roll sprint.
I don't think you need to roll sprint because you're going to get there one way or the other.
Okay.
You come to a strip mall. It's very clear this place has seen better days. There's significant amount of cracks in the parking lot as you move through it. Half of the storefronts are empty. Do you have any skills relating to spotting things like investigate or spot?
No, I do not.
Okay. Thankfully, I don't think you need it because one of those storefronts seems to be missing its door. It's a larger one. It looks like at some point it might have been a grocery store or a bookstore or something, like some kind of big chain, but it's empty right now. And its front door doesn't appear to have been ripped off its hinges, but there's not one there.
Cool. If that looks like the only thing of interest, we are sprinting in that direction.
You walk in, or sprint in, I suppose. The first thing that hits you is the smell. It is dark. It is musty. Has Kris ever been in a swamp?
Not as such. She's not been in a swamp that would be classified as a swamp, but she has been in the park after, heavy rains, where it's not really a bog because, again, it's not classified as such. Not really quite a swamp because it's not really quite classified as such. But the ground sure is wet, and the skunk cabbage is real happy. And it smells like, soaking wet dirt and mud that'll kick your back if you slip too fast.
Yeah, this is not that. This is not Virginia after the rain. This is something died here. This is something is rotting. And the second thing that you notice is the texture underfoot. That's not tile. Whatever that is sticky, and you can feel it trying to adhere to your shoes. And then you realize that there are strands of it easily as thick as your torso reaching up to the ceiling. Quite a few of them, they're interwoven like a web, and it is not impossible to move forward, but it definitely does seem like a maze.
Kris is going to take a look around, see what she can see, and as I think she slows down here. She's been, in the parks helping the rangers on real muddy days, and she knows that she can't sprint full tilt or she'll just face plant. But she does know how to place her feet in muddy ground. And she's going to try and see if she can find this damn thing.
This is one of the things about this kind of skill. It's all about, well, placing things. It's all about positioning, which means that it's just as good for trying to very carefully position yourself as you make your way through this as it is for placing a shot on the court. So go ahead and roll a check with place to try and move through here, especially without getting stuck.
That's better. That's 6 on the dice plus 2 is 8.
All right. Yeah, it's slow going. It is very slow. There are places where it almost feels like it's more likely to slip up than stick.
Ah, shit.
That sound is louder than you expected it to be in here. This is the kind of place that muffles noise, but that echoes like this is an enormous empty room. And you feel something move. You hear something muttering. Something, it's formulated like words, but there are no words. There's gaps, there's breaths, but you can't make out any words. But something heard you. And it's moving.
Yeah, she is no longer thinking. She is turned at that and working on instinct and takes one of those baseballs and hucks it.
This is a fairly dense nest of this tar-like substance, and you don't see what you're aiming at. Are you still gonna try and make that shot?
Yeah. So from the player side, I think what I'm going for here is for the ball to ricochet somewhere and create some sort of distraction. Kris is trying her damnedest to hit the dang thing.
All right. So go ahead and make me that place roll, but you are hesitating, which means that your roll takes a -1 penalty because of how dense this is and because you can't see what you're aiming at.
My dice are starting to be happier. This is 7 on the dice. -1 is 6, plus 2 is 8.
Still a mixed success. You hit it with that bat. There's that ping of the aluminum, and then there's a wet splat as it slams into one of these almost tendon-like structures and sticks there. And now whatever that is, it's moving faster and it's moving in your direction. What are you doing?
Come and get me!
Des,
Mm-hmm.
you don't remember a whole lot. You remember dark, you remember shaking as these claws wrap around your body and this thing picks you up and carries you. And you are now almost cocooned in this tar-like substance, and you hear a baseball bat and someone shouting, and suddenly this thing is leaving you alone, half entombed in what seems to be a wall. What are you doing?
I think as I realize I'm restrained, I'm gonna try to get out. I'm gonna try to wiggle the screwdriver that I keep in my pants at all times
Of
out
course.
and see if I can use that to like help me chisel my way out.
All right. What kind of skills do you have relating to strength or fine manipulation of a tool?
Okay, so this one is I actually do have a skill for this. I was calling it like handy, but it also fits with like the DIY skill.
We can call it handy, yeah. And this is you being good with tools?
Yes, yes.
All right. Yeah, you've probably used the chisel before, and it's not a perfect analog, but it does have that flat, sharp head that you can use.
Haven't we all used a screwdriver to chisel our way out of some sort of eldritch tar monster abomination's cocoon?
Oh, that was my junior year.
No.
So go ahead and make me that roll with handy.
Okay. With the +1 from handy, that is a 7.
All right, yeah, that's just enough. And it turns out that that screwdriver has just enough of a cutting edge for you to punch out and get your arm free. You are just covered in this disgusting ick. It's all in your hair and in your clothing, although you can't tell. And with that free arm, that's enough for you to carve yourself free of this wall. What are you doing?
I think I'm gonna try to still stick to the shadows. I suppose this time I will be more literally sticking to it with the that cocoon still hanging off me. I want to try to like sneak up because if someone is trying to help me, I'm gonna try to help them.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not hard for you to see where this thing went off to. Despite how dark it is in here, this thing is moving at speed, and it seems that it has to respect these walls that it has woven as well, as you see it squeeze between two of them in a way that is a human body probably couldn't fit through there. And towards the sound of this baseball bat and the shouting. So, Kris, you see something squeezing through a space between two of these stretched tar pillars. And the first thing you see is a long claw reaching out toward you. And it digs its claws into the ceiling and pulls itself out. And it looks like there are ribs in there somewhere, and the whole thing is dripping with the same tar that this place seems coated in. There's something that looks like a head, but there's no face on it. But it's definitely looking at you, and it takes a swing at you. But it does miss. It rolls a 6. So you dance backward out of the way.
Cool. I would love to have Kris take another one of those baseballs if there's a moment where she can see one of the ribs, she would love to aim for one of those. Otherwise, she's just going center mass.
All right. I want you to roll me place, this time with decisive, which means you get a +1 to this roll.
Okay. We're gonna need it. That is 6 on the dice. Man, I'm rolling real average. 6 on the dice plus 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9.
That's enough. It's still a mixed success, but it is enough. There is another ping as you hit the ball, but this time it rings louder, and you can almost feel the determination surging through you. You are not afraid of this thing. And from the point where the ball meets the bat, this light begins to blossom and runs down the bat. I would like you to describe your transformation sequence for me as you tap into this power that you don't recognize, and roll transform.
Okay. Let me do the roll first. Because I'm definitely playing for time here as I think about it. Oh god! We're rolling real mediocre. That is 3 on the dice.
3. Ugh. Okay, so describe your transformation sequence to me.
Yeah. So, in the times when she's not playing volleyball during volleyball season, Kris is playing softball in the off season. And sure, an aluminum bat for baseball left from who knows what kids playing whatever pickup game it was isn't a softball bat. It's weighted different. It feels a little different in the handle, but it's not all that different. It's close enough, damn it. And she's drilled this form time and time and time again. So even though it's mucky, even though it's muddy, she's played in the rain. She doesn't have cleats, but she's played in the rain. And her back foot pivots, her front foot pivots, her hips turn, and as she does so, the muck underneath her feet carries upward and crawls up her pants, and it turns from this ichor-like substance to proper dirt. And as she powers through from the ground, through her feet, through her hips, through her shoulders, following through and hitting this ball with all the might she has, the dirt comes up and covers every piece, and as it falls away, you see frustratingly tan, especially in the ichor like this, but frustratingly tan skirt and bodice with light blue and orange accents that match her red-headedness. And the boots she's wearing are so impractical. No sports person would ever wear these, but they are over the knee, black, and as high a heel as you could manage.
And that baseball seems to be propelled by your determination as it strikes home into one of this thing's ribs, and you can hear a crack as it recoils. But you weren't wearing those heels a second ago, and you stumble. And so, unfortunately, this being entirely new to you, you are hesitating.
Perfect. Excellent.
What are you doing?
I think Kris takes this moment, flushed with that success. The crisis mode burns out for a moment, and she looks down, because her ankle shouldn't have twisted the way it did. But it sure did. She looks down and, okay, that wasn't what I was wearing a second ago. She sort of rolls her shoulders, and they sure feel weird and different. And like I said, that crisis mode has sort of stripped away, and she goes, "Ah, shit! What the hell is this thing?"
And Des, you see a flash of light from somewhere in front of this beast, and it recoils backward for a second as a baseball pings off of it and comes flying toward you. With your reflexes, you are just able to catch it in your hand, and then you hear that exclamation of, "What is this thing?" What are you doing?
Okay, so the baseball itself wasn't enough to like take this thing down, right? It was
Oh, definitely
okay,
not.
cool. So has it noticed me yet?
It's all of its attention is on whoever it is that's in front of it.
Okay. Well, Des is definitely distracted enough by the monster that the only thing she can really think about is this other person who is obviously trying to save her being put in danger. So I think she's going to try to stab the monster with a screwdriver.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
Okay, love this.
So as you let this concern for this other person flow through you and guide your strike, I want you to roll transform as well, as the downward arc of your stab. The light seems to blossom from the tip of this screwdriver and roll backward up your arm.
Alrighty. How did I do? I got a 6. Woo! Failures all around. Okay, so yeah, I feel like this is how it's gonna be. It feels very in a weird way, it feels very auspicious for like a first game that we're recording because this is always how it goes. Either the first game is purely full successes or it's like purely failures. So this is good. So for Dez's transformation, there is like a suddenly like a voice pounding in her head, and it takes her a moment to realize that it's also speaking with her mouth, and she hears herself much brighter and cheerier than she normally is, like going for my friends, and one of her sleeves both transform into the extremely pink, frilly. I'm talking like precure level of frilly frilly outfit change, and as she is taking this in, she hears the voice again, going for myself, and her dark band T-shirt flashes and transforms into this equally frilly top with like what would be the it's not quite like a peasant top kind of thing, but it's like barely covering the shoulders, and it runs just above her bust.
Dare I say it blossoms?
Yes, absolutely. It feels almost like it bursts through her band shirt, and she, for the third time, feels this voice speaking through her, and she hears herself say, "For everyone I hold dear," and the pants and the boots transform as well. And in the only concession to her like outfits of choice, her combat boots stay mostly the same. They are just also bright pink. And in a final burst of magic, as she finishes transforming, her eyes snap open more. We can see they're bright pink now, and we see a wave of pink rush down her jet black hair, and then the screwdriver hits before dissolving into her shield.
So you're holding a shield now.
Uh-huh.
It's quite pink. That was a screwdriver a second ago. What How do you react to that?
She looks down at this and goes, "What the hell? That was my favorite screwdriver!" And tries to like bounce back away from the monster, not fully wanting to acknowledge all of the pink frills she has going on at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to ask, it sounds like her voice is a little bit higher than it was. Is that accurate?
That is correct. While transformed, her voice is higher pitched. She's brighter, cheerier, very very peppy, even when cursing. um, and there's throughout the entire time while she's transformed, she has that sort of background voice that is, it's not controlling her, but it is pushing a lot of the affectations that she has to one side. While normally she would be like acting disaffected and like, oh, I don't really care about anyone. It's a whole lot of being much more vocal about caring for people.
Excellent. I love it so much.
Okay.
So, Kris, you see and hear this person appearing from behind this creature. It seems. Is this the same person? I thought it was the same person a second ago, but that's a lot more pink than you saw them earlier. What are you doing?
I didn't know we were running a drag show tonight.
Rude!
Look, I don't know if we're friends yet, but I think we will be once we're done with this damn thing.
I don't know who you are, but sure, we're friends. I'll totally protect you, and you seem really great. And why am I saying this?
Oh god. And that's about the time that it swings around behind itself and tries to swing at you. And it lands home. This thing just backhands you and knocks you backward into one of these pillars, and you take 1 stress.
Okay, sounds good. Remind me again, is it we count up stress?
You count up, yes. The number listed on your sheet is your stress maximum.
Perfect.
And now it is your turn. What are you doing?
My turn?
Yes. You remember, because you failed the transform roll, you are hesitating as the strangeness of what's going on is still sinking in.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to try to dash forward and protect Kris.
All right.
That's my deal.
Okay. So go ahead and make that protect roll.
Oh, finally, a decent roll. That's going to be an 8. I don't see... It would be just one of my normal skills if I had a buff to it, right?
Yes.
Okay, then yes. Right now, unless I can add endure.
Endure would qualify for this, in my opinion.
Okay, well then it's a 9, so still not enough to push it to a full success.
That is still a partial success, though.
Yeah.
So now that you have gone, this thing takes another turn, and it's going to swing at Kris this time.
Okay.
Ugh, that is a full success. So normally it would deal 2 stress to you, Kris, but as this extremely pink friend throws herself in the way, she's able to deflect some of that, and you only take 1 stress instead, as you are able to escape most of it. And
With protect, since it's a partial, I take the stress?
no, it is only it just halves the stress that your protectee receives.
Okay.
All right, top of the round. One of you gets to go first. Who is it going to be?
I think Kris can go first.
Okay. The crisis mode sets in again here, and baseball bat and the baseballs worked fine last time. Let's do it again. She looks down.
Can I toss you the ball that I caught?
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. She definitely had a look of panic on her face, realizing that there were not very many balls left in this helmet. So she, thank you. And she takes a step forward, or either forward or to the side, to just make sure that she's not going to hit you in the process of swinging this bat. But yeah, she's gonna bat another ball at this thing.
Place that shot.
Finally my dice are behaving. That is 11 on the dice, plus 2 is 13.
Very nice. So not only do you take that first shot and it slams into another of its ribs, the baseball bounces off of it. You take the chance and hit it again, and it strikes it right in the face as it takes 2 stress.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
The noise that it makes of pain is difficult to put into words. It is more of it's as if you could hear it in your bones, but not your ears. Something is crying out. And now it's its turn again, as it's going to take another swing at you. It is not happy about that. This time, it is off balance, it is injured, and it only rolls a 4. So its blind clawing at you lands short. It digs into the muck and pulls back.
Okay, so my turn then?
Indeed.
Okay, how is this eldritch goop monster looking?
It's looking kind of rough. Some of those ribs are definitely not bending in ways that they should. You can see what might be a rib sticking out, but it's definitely not bone. Whatever it is, it's rotted and twisted and deeply unpleasant, but it's not bone. And this thing seems to be, I won't say limping, but it's definitely favoring those ribs.
Okay, it's not really her bag, but I think she's gonna try for another fight roll. Gonna try to smash this thing with her shield.
All right, go ahead and roll that attack.
7.
7?
7.
All right. That is certainly enough to land. It's a good shoulder check into this thing in what looks like a vulnerable spot, and it kind of collapses down onto one elbow. It's actually not doing too hot, and it's going to take another swing at you
Okay.
as it's trying to defend itself. But again, misses, rolls a 6. It's just short. And you are able to catch it on the shield. Pushes you back a bit as the force of this thing's, the leverage behind this arm just shoves at you. But you are able to protect yourself with your shield. And since everyone is gone, we are now at the top of the round.
Kris, I think you have better fight actions. If you want me to like assist you to try and make things easier or to like protect you, I'm super down to go first. But otherwise, I think you have the advantage here.
So I think what happens here is, hey, that worked. So Kris picks up another ball. There's not a whole lot of those left. And I don't think she has to move this time because I think Des moved far enough away that she's not too worried about it.
Yeah.
But I think she takes a step back anyway, and she's going to take another swing. And as she's swinging, she calls out and says, maybe don't get too close to that thing.
Des, still kind of like hiding behind her shield, goes, yeah, I mean, I don't really, I have a shield, and that's great. I can't really, it's going to get close to us, is all I'm saying. I'm going to do my best. Definitely don't love being up here. It's gross and, horrifying, and,
Yeah, okay, duck.
he does.
And the ping of the baseball bat goes again. 6 and 1 on the dice is 7 plus 2 is 9.
Nice.
So I think we've lost that baseball now.
Yep, it's actually kind of uncomfortable how it just smacks into the middle of where its face should be and then sticks there. And then the goop sort of pulls it in as it disappears.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's going to leap out and attack Des, I think.
Okay, that's fair. She's definitely like seeing the baseball sink into this thing, and still the same big bright smile on her face with some very nervous laughter.
And the baseball finishes disappearing as this thing bears down on you, rolls a 9 on the dice, and is just slashing at you with these overly long arms. One of them reaches around and rakes across your back, so you take 1 stress.
Oh boy. So I think Des is like gritting her teeth, fairly still fairly chipper, whether she wants to be or not, but she kind of glances over her shoulder and goes, "Hey, new friend or whatever, is this thing that I'm wearing, is it at least torn now? Like, does it look really kind of like a punk kind of pink now with like a gash in it?"
Chris, the answer to this question is yes, but it's quickly knitting itself back together.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to ask. I don't know what punk means. So yes.
Like, great, that sounds great. And she's gonna wing her shield at the enemy like Captain America style.
Amazing.
All she wants is distressed jeans.
Go ahead and roll that fight action.
That's a 4.
Nope. Unfortunately, that is not enough.
No, it is not.
And it's going to take a swing at you.
Yeah.
Which is a 6. So unfortunately, this thing is also, as you swing your shield at it, it swings its claws at you, and the two catch each other in midair and kind of stop dead.
Okay.
Top of the round. Who's going?
So, new friend. I'm Kris. Can you cover me?
Kris, lovely to meet you. Wish it were under better circumstances. Yeah. Hold on. I let me get my shield. Can I like either recall the shield or like can I reach for it and it reappears back in my hand or something? I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. I love
Okay.
this. Which of those would you prefer?
I think for this instance, just having it reappear in my hands would be easiest.
Amazing. Excellent.
So yeah, she reaches up towards her shield and suddenly it's on her arm again.
The flash of light with which it appears is uncomfortably pink for your tastes.
Yeah, there's like a little explosion of glitter when it reappears.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I'm going to, with this new transformation, she has definitely discovered much more lightness of foot. So she kind of like quickly backpedals towards Kris, like skips backwards to hold her shield in front of him. And that's more like it. That is an 8.
All right. So an 8 on a protect roll.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yep. That is a partial success. But this thing is still angry, and it is going to, I would say it would lumber after you, but that's not accurate because it doesn't have to move to reach you where it is. It just reaches out with its arms
Gross.
and grasps at you. You are able to get your shield in the way, and it doesn't manage to get around it. With the aforementioned lightness of foot, you are able to fend it off. Kris, I believe it's your turn.
Yeah, so Kris backs up behind Des here a good bit, and in her haste forgets and leaves the helmet where she was.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't realize this, and so as she reaches down, her hand plunges into the muck, and she pulls out a softball. Not a softball, a softball-sized chunk of rock. In fact, it's very weirdly like concrete, almost as though she'd pulled it from the foundation of the basically warehouse that they're in. She tosses it and swings it like she would a regular softball at this
And
thing.
it absolutely behaves like a regular softball.
We're gonna roll place again. Oh god! I think I need my dice tower because that is a 3 on the dice.
No.
Plus 2 is a bad failure.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Yeah. Once again, you swing at this concrete ball,
Yeah,
and
I think it's the mismatch between baseball bat and softball that throws her off.
yeah, even though it is behaving like a softball, it's behaving like a softball, not a baseball. And you swing it toward this thing's hand, and it smacks into the hand, and once again, that wet sense as it pulls it into itself, and nothing seems to happen.
Cool.
And it's going to keep clawing at Des. It does better this time as it manages to pull your shield aside for just a moment and rakes up your arm, and you take another stress.
Okay, that would be top of the round again.
Correct. Who's going first?
New friend Kris, what's the plan?
Plan?
Okay.
And she just walks forward on this thing. Let's see. As artillery, I think I can't really go into melee range with it.
Correct.
But she's gonna get. Kris doesn't have a plan.
Okay.
She's just doing. She is. Unless you want to stop her.
How would she frame it? Okay, out of character. The idea is Des tosses her shield in front of Kris to use as the baseball.
Okay. I like this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're gonna have to stop her somehow.
Okay, so she doesn't have anything to use as a projectile.
Yeah, yep, she's kind of out of those. Except apparently she can just make them.
Okay, I will say maybe she can't access the. Maybe what happens is you start stepping forward and you're like getting ready to swing. You're just gonna kind of go for a melee, and the shield drops in front of you to be your
Ooh.
baseball.
Is that like the same recall where you can put the shield somewhere else?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I was planning on just trying to aim it.
I think it's just a good throw.
I think that was what I was going for.
Okay.
So, if you are taking your turn, Des, this would be the help action.
Yeah,
And I would count you two as acquaintances at the moment.
that's fair. I'm down with this. I like this as a help action. That is a 10.
Well, thankfully, you don't need to roll for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Help actions go off without a roll.
Oh,
It is based on how well you know the person.
well, okay.
So,
So
considering that you have met and decided you are getting along well, I think you qualify as acquaintances.
okay. So what's the bonus with acquaintance?
The roll that Kris is about to attempt gets a +1 bonus.
Oh, sick. Okay.
But that was your turn,
Yes. That was my turn.
which means it's my turn now.
Correct.
And you don't have your shield on you.
That's true.
This thing is still very angry at you.
Kris has been the one doing all the damage.
This is true, but it is very upset. That's an 8. So as you throw your shield, it takes the opportunity of the opening to swing at you, and you take another stress.
Phenomenal. Okay. The outfit is still healing up just fine, which is very frustrating for Des, but you can definitely see like blood that is maybe just a little too light red. I'm not saying she has pink blood, but I am saying that maybe it's like a little bit lighter.
Uh-huh.
You can see like from several different places on her body that these wounds are not knitting themselves back up like her outfit is. She is very rough.
Kris, what you doing?
Kris is acting without a plan, and she intended to just go up and swing this thing, but a shield just dropped in front of her, so she's gonna take a swing at that and do her best to smack this thing down.
Yep. Roll with place and the +1 from the assistance.
So it's +3 total. Come on, dice, don't fuck me over this time. Well, that's 5 on the dice. +3 is our 8.
So please take a moment to paint a picture for us of how this shield strikes home to kill this thing.
Yeah, so I don't think it strikes home so much as like haphazardly flies and happens to slice it real good.
Amazing. It's an awkwardly wobbling arc, and it actually misses, bounces off of one of the pillars behind this thing, and then smacks it full on its side in the back of this thing's head, face plants it into the ground, and you see the whole body slump and melt back into this tar. And it's only a couple of seconds before this thing is gone. It's like this room almost consumed whatever it was made of. And you don't see a baseball or a sphere of concrete around anywhere either.
Is the room still super mucky?
Make me an investigate roll.
Oh boy. Alright, let's try the other dice. Those two are in timeout. It's a flat roll for me, so that is an 8.
At first, you think nothing's changed, but as you're quiet for a couple of seconds looking around, taking it in, yeah, it is actually starting to recede. The floor under you starts to feel a little more solid, and some of these pillars are beginning to thin.
Des goes, woo, and then falls over. She's at 4 out of 5 stress.
Yep. I think Kris turns around and finally actually looks at Des, and crisis mode was about to drop and comes straight back because this new person is now basically fainted on a mucky floor. And look, sports medicine, she's not all that far into the studies yet, but that's probably not good. So she's going to attempt some real rudimentary first aid here and try to help this pink person, pink girl in front of her.
Yeah, you try to put together what you can. The regenerating garb helps to provide bandages, but it's it's a bit
You
slow.
rip the bandage off and it slowly regenerates.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Now, does the piece that she rips off as a bandage start to reform into the full garment as well?
Oh no. Oh, I don't think it does. But I think there's a moment where it looks like it might.
Infinitely replicating skirts.
Infinite skirts.
If only they could come with a rip. Pre-ripped is fashion, don't you know?
And sitting there, laying on the ground, not quite bleeding out, but certainly bleeding. Des is kind of trying to like wave Kris off. It's like, no, it's fine. Let's get out of here.
No, you stay down for just a second. I'm not great at this, but that needs something. I don't know if you want to do a contested
No,
roll,
I'm not
but
going
I
to contest it.
If cool, because I would roll charm on that.
if you'd like to roll charm, I was very, very lightly pushing for the support a friend at the expense of your own emotions, but it's not a big deal. No, I think she's not in a position to really contest anything.
Okay, just for the sake of using something, did try to take the after that planning trigger in that last turn.
Yes, so that absolutely would trigger.
Mm-hmm.
That is a light trigger?
That's a darkness trigger.
Darkness trigger. Okay, so shift your conviction 1 toward darkness.
Mm-hmm. Can I roll protect to help Des here and add my conviction to that?
I don't think you need to. She's not at imminent risk of taking more harm.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it's okay. But you do take that 1 point of darkness, and Des, you notice some of this ink seem to seep into and disappear into this very sporty person who is trying to help you.
Some of the black goop.
Yep.
Then if it's getting like sucked into her, then Des would definitely be trying to like stop her. Like, no, it's fine. You don't need to get hurt or nothing. I just need like, I don't know, some pancakes maybe, and go to sleep. Maybe listen to some music. I'm okay. She's not talking. She's facing the wrong way. She's not talking directly to Chris.
Sure, honey. All right, come on. She's gonna try to pick Des up, and she pulls out her phone. I'm gonna call a friend. Jesse's gonna come pick us up, and we'll get you all set up.
Des goes, my phone.
As you realize that you've forgotten your phone at the
I think
baseball
forgotten
field.
is a bit of a strong word here.
That's absolutely what happened. What are you talking about?
Yes, that moment when the eldritch goop monster grabbed me, and I went, I'd better leave my phone here for safekeeping.
Oh, God. And you do actually see a phone on the ground near you as this goop continues to recede. It's not yours, but it is a phone.
It's like black case, skull detailing.
Yeah, definitely not yours. It has a case, but it's not a super fancy one. It's
It
just
looks
green.
like someone has been using this case for 1,000,000 years.
I don't think Chris would have noticed that. Player says that's hazel glass.
Okay, that's
but
fine.
Chris wouldn't notice.
Des, do you notice that? Do you?
I think I'm over her shoulder right now, and yeah, and I think at this point, Des is just like, pancakes. I think she's pretty out of it.
Out of curiosity, how tall is Des?
That is a good question. The eternal question. Ideal height or height that she would be more likely. She's probably like 5'10", somewhere around there.
Okay. Because Chris is a square 5 foot, even in transformed form here. So math says your arms probably are getting pretty close to the floor.
That does track. I appreciate the many chances, but I think it is funnier if I just forget my phone and have to find it again.
Alrighty.
So Chris is fireman carrying Des out of this strip mall. She's gonna set her down on a bench if there is one, on the curb if there isn't, and she has called Jesse at this point.
Yeah. There's a moment of. So I think what happens is you're carrying Des over your shoulder and you go to reach for your phone and you realize this isn't your normal outfit.
Skirts don't have pockets. Well, this skirt doesn't have pockets.
There ain't no phone there.
Shit.
And but as you're thinking about that, there's a lurch, and suddenly your posture changes as these heels that you've been in are suddenly gone, and you're back in your normal shoes and your normal clothing. And your hand is now in your pocket with your phone in your hand. So you're able to set her down on a bench, and Jess is like, Chris, oh my God, Chris, are you okay? Where are you?
Define okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna break down tonight. Can you come get us, please? Don't ask me who us is. I have a new friend.
New
I'm gonna text you the address. Also, do you have box pancakes at home?
What?
Okay, don't answer that. Just figure it out on the way here.
I can.
Take my car if you need
I
to.
can tell the squad car, like, get them to. I don't think they want me going anywhere.
Oh, I did have you at. Shit. I did ask you to call 911, didn't I? Crap. Okay. So Kris turns to Des and goes, "Did you actually tell me your name?"
A cab. I'm Desdemona.
Okay. Desdemona. Hey, Jesse. Desdemona here. Can I call you Des? Do you have your phone with you?
She like pats her poofy frilly skirt that she's got now. No, I think I lost it somewhere.
Okay. Um. Okay. Jesse, can you?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna send the. I just told them what was going on. They were asking. So, where are you?
I'll text you the address. Can you please have them look for a phone? I have no description whatsoever. It's probably by the very broken bleachers. Don't ask me how I know. Please try to shake them off if you can. I don't want to deal with this. 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 We need food.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll text you the address. Bye.
Okay. Bye. And I think while you're waiting, Dez's garb finally gives out and reverts to its normal form, which does mean that those bandages also vanish.
Cool.
So a bit of extra blood on on your
A little
outfit.
bit.
Cool. Out of curiosity, like we were here around 8. Well, this whole shenanigans started around 8-ish or so. What time does it appear to be now?
It's the middle of the night, but you do have your phone on you. So through this, it's easily past 9:30, getting closer to 10.
Okay. While we're waiting on Jesse, Kris is going to hope that she's got enough signal to do some searching here with Google Maps. Not super familiar with campus and not entirely sure where we are now, but she figured out an address mostly from the Google location, and she's looking for pancakes nearby because this Des person seems very, very focused on that. And you generally give a drunk person what they want, except for the car keys and another drink. And Des is very much not drunk, but that's what Kris knows, and that's what she's basing this off of.
A little bit punch drunk.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's her knowledge base. So she's just kind of doing, all right, well, we fulfill the wish as much as possible.
You are able to find a diner that is open at this hour. It's one of those 24-hour types. And by the time you find a place, a squad car pulls up. The officer gets out, looks around, spots you two pretty quickly. You, Kris Whitlock?
Yes, officer. Do you have a first aid kit, please?
Ah, yes. And he goes back to his car, grabs a first aid kit out of the trunk, and quickly comes to patch up Des. So, as this is happening, he looks over at you, Kris, is like, so, how did this happen?
Officer, I know you probably want like a full-on statement and all that jazz, but I am currently in crisis mode. My memory's kind of shit right now. I'm kind of just functioning on instinct. I couldn't give you hardly a good statement anyway. Can we talk about this after I've slept?
I am going to need to take some kind of statement now, but we can definitely get you two home and talk about it more in the morning.
Okay. So, how do I explain this?
I think maybe Des lifts her head up and goes, "Big gloopy hand thingy, really, really mean. Tried to hurt
He
us."
blinks.
Kris just points to Des as if like, yeah.
Okay. And this happened here? He nods at the bench.
Kris just kind of nods in the direction of the storefront that they were in.
Okay. You can see with his eyes he makes a mental note of that and continues to clean up those injuries. All right, well, let's get you two home for now. Where do you live? Do you give him the address?
Volleyball house. Kris blurts that out before really thinking about it and gives him Jesse's address instead, which is not far from where Kris herself lives at the moment. But
he looks over it as like, and where are you from, miss?
Des kind of tries to like, shake off a bit of this lightheadedness. Tries to. I think she's able to give her address. Certainly, that was one of the things that was like beaten into me when I was younger. Was like you gotta at least be able to give your phone number and address.
And you two manage to fit into the squad car, and you get rides home. Des, your family has a very interesting evening or night at this point, but we will cover that next session because I think this is a good point for it to wrap up.
Yeah.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode. I know I'm curious to see where this goes, and I hope you'll come with us as we go on this journey. Thank you so much, and have a good night. Thank you again for joining us on this adventure. With Conviction is a production of Silver Maiden Games. If you would like to play Conviction, check out the game at silvermaidengames.itch.io. Music for the intro and outro of this podcast is A Soul with Conviction by Doom Vega, who you can find on Bandcamp. Music within the episodes is by Rachel Rose Mitchell, who you can find on Bandcamp and Spotify. All rights to the music are retained by their original artist. Production and editing are done by myself and the With Conviction cast. Thank you all. This would not be what it is without you. You can find this podcast on Spotify and YouTube or silvermaidengames.wordpress.com. You can also find more about the game, podcast, and ways to contact us at silvermaidengames.wordpress.com.